Maybe you've been on one or suggested that visiting friends take a ride to see the sights and drive by the million-dollar mansions of the stars. While Hollywood tour vans promise to give you some movie star history and perhaps an insider glimpse of where they live. Investigative reporter Jenna Susko reveals many of the Hollywood tours are full of lies.
The I-Team has taken most of the tours offered on Hollywood Boulevard. We found many operators charging tourists as much as $50 each, then delivering 2 hours of lies that cheat riders and leave homeowners dealing with obsessed, potentially dangerous fans. An intruder scales the wall of this Hollywood Hills mansion looking for a movie star. Another tries to fight his way onto the property. And then there are the letters, full of death threats.
As far as I know, Julia Roberts has never lived in this house and has never been to this house.
So how did this happen? It all begins here, on one of the most iconic streets in the world, Hollywood Boulevard. Tour vans line the street, while ticket sellers hound tourists.
We're one of the best tour companies on the boulevard.
He's trying to sell us on an outing with LA Scene Tours, so we sign up.
You see that house down there? That's Ice-T and Coco's house.
Nope.
This house right here, you see the balcony where he was dangling the baby?
Michael Jackson did that in Berlin, not here.
Mike Tyson sold his house to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, Paris Hilton's house. She has a lot of skills. That's Danny DeVito's house.
All of those are wrong. And it wasn't just this company.
On your left is Eva Longoria, Desperate Housewives.
We went on 20 tours. All gave out bad information.
This is where Kanye West and Kim Kardashian live, right here.
Jennifer Lopez,
Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Orlando Bloom.
On your right is Wedding Crashers guy, Owen Wilson.
High-end real estate has skyrocketed.
It seems so ludicrous that we met up with real estate expert and star of $1 Million Listing, Josh Flagg. He agreed to go undercover with us to see just how big the problem is.
It's like a total scam.
Our guide on Hollywood Exchange and Tours treated us to nearly 2 hours of bad information.
There's Mark Wahlberg. He says what to see, what not to see on his house.
My parents' friends own this house.
He has a big house.
The company declined to comment, but Josh didn't hold back.
I sold out of living in his house, and he doesn't live around here.
Especially after we told him about all the other lies we heard on tours, including this one.
Justin Bieber burned that house up. He went to jail for it.
Wait, what?
Justin Bieber did not burn down that house on the corner of Sunset and Crescent. I mean, that is just the dumbest thing I've heard in my life.
Broken around the back.
And for homeowners, it's a nightmare.
Do you feel safe in your own home right now?
No, absolutely not.
Michael Edson owns this striking mansion off Mulholland. He says a couple years ago, fans started snapping pictures in front of his house. Several times he woke up to love notes painted on the walls. Then he says one crazed fan tried to push his way into his home. This video shot by a surveillance camera.
I opened the gate and it was a guy there asking for Julia's autograph.
He says he's received more than a dozen letters. One reading, "I see your house burning in flames around us as we burn and perish hand in hand."
He says that Julia Roberts lives here because he's been told so by the tour operators. A lot of these film stars have their own security, and now I know why.
Just a couple weeks after that interview, Edson says someone broke into his house in the middle of the night, leaving this rose on the table.
The alarm goes off at the front of the house. I come running around to see what's going on, and this lunatic's here just painting the side of the house.
He says he was punched in the face and called police. The masked man got away. He had previously asked the tour company to stop pointing out his home as Julia Roberts, but says they didn't. He even documented it during a tour.
Okay, now you guys can take a look to your left really quick and get a close-up of Julie Roberts' home.
Now he's taking them to court. LA City Tours tells us it has no comment. The I-Team planted a camera at another non-celebrity home in the hills one recent Saturday and recorded about 25 different tour buses stopping in front every hour.
Britney Spears stayed right here.
Former home of Britney Spears, this cute little thing here.
Quentin Tarantino lives right here to the right.
The real homeowners say their mailbox has been broken into, and a wannabe screenwriter even left this fan letter and a script. Like Edson, they're concerned for their safety.
Hi, Nathan.
How you doing?
I'm Jenna with NBC.
Remember LA Scene Tours? We caught up with them.
Yes, just wanted to talk to you about why your tour guides are giving out wrong information to tourists.
What do you mean? Why are you saying that?
Well, the houses that were pointed out were not actually celebrity homes.
Can I just say one thing? This is all about fun. It's all about Hollywood, which is just fun. That's all it is.
But isn't it supposed to be accurate, too?
No, it's not. It's really just Hollywood. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. I'm glad that you're going to advertise, because I guarantee you put my company on that bus here, right, I'm going to have more people coming to do my tour. That's a guarantee.
To see houses that don't belong to celebrities?
They don't mind about that, madam.
That's
not they really don't.
If the tour operators advertised that it was just a fancy home tour and you were just going to see some large homes, the different tour operators would probably go bankrupt.
Assuming that won't happen, Michael Edson is investing in more security.
I'm now being chased down. I'm not a celebrity. I don't want to be a celebrity. I just want a peaceful life, which I now can't have.
Our team has heard from frightened residents, frustrated law enforcement officers, and industry insiders who say Hollywood tour buses are turning the streets of LA into a danger zone.
Drivers flying through stop signs, hands off the wheel, even on their phones, and open vans without working seatbelts. And on this busy canyon road, tourists are directed to jaywalk on a blind curve. Risky moments all caught on our cameras.
It's so dangerous, it's so scary. Someone is going to be killed.
More than 20 tour companies crowd Hollywood Boulevard, often aggressively hawking rides on sometimes shabby open roof vans. The I-Team discovered driver after driver playing fast and loose, not just with the facts.
Justin Bieber burned that house up. He went to jail for it.
What? But with matters of life and death.
Hopefully they can stick away from the police.
This superstar celebrity home tours driver flew through several red lights and stop signs. And on this LA Scene tour van,
Does anybody feel like racing?
we found seatbelts rusted shut. So we rode unrestrained.
Feel free to stand up and get a selfie.
As the driver took his hands off the wheel.
See, it says commercial vehicles over 3 tons prohibited. We're over 3 tons.
Several drivers simply ignored posted weight limits.
It's illegal for us to go down, but sometimes we do it anyway.
That driver later talked to us about it.
There's weight limit restrictions on that street just to keep us out of there.
Why
That's
go
it.
down them then?
Why not?
Because you're not supposed to.
There's a lot of stuff we're not supposed to do.
These streets were never designed for this amount of volume.
We showed Councilman David Rue our video.
Yeah, obviously they should not be stopping there.
He represents areas crisscrossed by vans, often dozens of times an hour.
Completely unacceptable. The tourists who actually go on those vans as well, they're probably feared for their lives as well.
It was a horrible tour. I was scared for my life.
Holly and her dad got into an accident while on a superstar celebrity homes tour van last October.
There weren't seatbelts, but there was just kind of like straps. They didn't buckle into anything. We're sitting on ripped up American flags, and the driver side swipes this other very nice looking white vehicle.
A few of us in the tour bus, hey, I think you just hit somebody.
The Public Utilities Commission revoked its operating certificate. I-Team calls and texts to the company number have not been returned.
Death by car. It will happen.
These Hollywood Hills neighbors say the endless parade of tour vans along LA's legendary Mulholland Drive has them living and driving in constant fear when drivers park illegally to let passengers access this scenic overlook.
It's kind of like the Wild West up here on the weekend.
These are tourists that have no idea that Mulholland is a high-speed highway. See, I see them walking, 4- and 5-year-old children across this street, and I think, oh my God, that's horrible.
We joined LAPD and state investigators trying to crack down on illegal operators.
They are not permitted to operate as a tour bus.
And the driver had a suspended license.
How long have you been driving around tourists with a suspended license?
Like, I'd say 1 month.
The van was impounded.
As soon as word gets out that we're out here doing this, they all start communicating, and you'll see how some of them take off.
Star Trek was told it didn't have the proper certification. But the very next day, our cameras caught the company gathering passengers, including 2 I-Team members, walking them to a van parked nearly 2 blocks away.
That's not good.
Police pulled them over and found not only the permit violation, but a driver who lacked a commercial license. Star Trek's owner wouldn't answer our questions, but did say, we expect to receive a Class A license soon. But 3 weeks later, we found Star Trek operating again, still without the right permit.
It goes again to these unscrupulous operators where all they're trying to do is make a buck.
We're looking at accidents that are just waiting to happen, and rather than being reactive, I'd like to see something done about it.
Tonight, our investigative reporter Jenna Sisko is here with new information that puts vehicle safety into serious question.
Promising tourists the ultimate Southern California experience, tour operators have turned passenger vans into convertibles. They're making major structural changes that had our team asking questions. Now experts and officials are wondering if they should even be allowed on the road at all. A worried mom forced to hold down her baby's car seat because the seatbelt won't work.
And I'm using all my might to keep her from flying out of the car.
Our I-team caught even more scary moments on camera as we rode undercover on more than 20 tours. But it's not just the driving that has some holding on for dear life.
If you have a death wish, this is the tour for you.
Brian Thompson isn't a tourist. He's an automotive designer who's helped create cars and vans for Subaru, Ford, and Nissan. On this H&B tour, he instantly spotted what he calls significant safety problems.
There's no seatbelt. They've cut the seatbelt.
But he says there's a bigger problem. They're being cut apart, and removing the top of the van weakens the structural integrity.
If you bred a slinky with a truck, you probably have a van, something quite like this.
Not ideal for vehicles that carry thousands of passengers a week into the winding canyons overlooking Hollywood.
You're riding like this. The walls of the van, because there's no cross support anymore, they flex and they move. It just takes a hard turn or a small car accident and you could really be in some serious danger.
H&B Tours had no comment, but look who did.
What happens if one of these rolls over?
That's a problem. If they turn over, hasta la vista, baby.
Pedro Rodriguez is a mechanic who cuts apart some of the tour vans at Rudy's Custom Tops. It costs about $8 grand.
If I did for him, I can do for you.
Rodriguez advertises his work online and says unlike some shops, he reinforces the structure. But he also cuts out the seatbelts.
Okay, sway bars underneath, the bushings are gone, they're not even.
The CHP oversees safety inspections. It cites operators for violations involving licensing and mechanical issues, but open-top tour vans aren't raising a red flag.
Definitely a huge lack of oversight.
This insider has worked for several Hollywood tour companies and asked that we disguise his identity out of fear of retaliation. He says many operators take the cheapest route possible to cut the tops off vans, then do a lousy job maintaining them.
What are you worried about?
A catastrophe. That's really what I would worry about.
We saw a lot of customized Ford vans on the boulevard. When contacted for comment, the car maker said this is the first time it's heard of vans being customized in this way, and added that the mechanic or auto shop would be responsible for adhering to all safety standards. This year, a jury decided Ford was not liable in the deaths of 5 women in this limo, which burst into flames on a Bay Area bridge. Instead, legal fault fell with the limo company, which had customized the vehicle aftermarket. State Assemblyman Audrey Nazarian fears something similar could happen with one of these customized tour vans.
That, unfortunately, has fallen into a place where no one necessarily has had oversight, and that's what I'm looking at correcting. My goal is to be able to have a piece of legislation crafted or two by January.
Would you want any of your friends or family riding along with some of these tour bus drivers?
Absolutely not. I envision, God forbid, is something really bad happening and one of these tour vehicles coming down the hill and just flying off a cliff and bodies flying everywhere. That will be a very, very bad day.
The U.S. Department of Transportation believes the convertible tour buses lining Hollywood Boulevard are not safe and shouldn't be taking passengers anywhere. And that's exactly what it's telling them in this letter. Now, government regulators have a lot of questions, and they want answers. Top
topless tour vans with seatbelts removed.
We have a death wish. Yeah, this is the tour for you.
Thousands of people board them every single week.
I was scared for my life.
Drivers paying more attention to their phones than the road, while also pointing out celebrity homes.
We've spent a lot of time in LA, but that was by far the worst situation we've had down there.
And now, some of those problems we exposed have grabbed the attention of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
It instantly became clear to us that this was a safety issue that we needed to take action. And we're also advising the tour operators that we don't believe these vehicles are safe in their present condition and they shouldn't be transporting passengers.
More than 20 companies will receive this special order issued by the Secretary of Transportation. It demands companies send them information about the topless tour vans so the administration can investigate potential violations. Specifically, whether seatbelts were modified and details about the roof being cut off.
We're very curious as to how the modifications were made, who made those modifications, and we'll be collecting a lot more information about that in the coming weeks.
What happens if one of these rolls over?
That's a problem.
Our investigation revealed some of those vans are customized by the owner of Rudy's Custom Tops, who told us he cuts out some of the shoulder belts.
Those modifications are against the law. The seat belts were modified or removed, and the roofs of these vans were taken off. So both of those could present serious safety risks to vehicle occupants.
The government is urging tourists and residents to steer clear of them. And as our first investigation pointed out, many of the celebrity homes they point out,
that's Ice-T and Coco's house,
are lies anyway.
Our concern is making sure that no crashes, no accidents happen in these vehicles, no one is injured. So we're trying to take action to make sure that we can prevent any tragedy like that.
Companies that don't respond to the government by September 19th face fines of up to $21,000 a day. Well, the federal government has told more than 24 companies that the open-air celebrity tour buses they're using are dangerous and shouldn't operate. So we headed back down to Hollywood Boulevard to find out if anything has changed.
If you want to go?
They promise to take you to the doorsteps of the rich and famous.
You guys will see more than 50 different celebrity homes, movie locations.
But besides finding mini guides were simply making their information up,
Justin Bieber burned that house up. He went to jail for it.
our investigation revealed safety issues with the tour vans themselves. Not only have seatbelts often been modified or removed, but auto design experts say cutting off the tops can undermine the vehicle's structural integrity.
You're riding like this.
As a result, the federal government sent this letter to 27 companies, telling them
We don't believe these vehicles are safe in their present condition and they shouldn't be transporting passengers.
that was 3 weeks ago. Today, it's still business as usual. We contacted some of the operators to ask why they're giving tours despite the government warning. One owner called us Lucifer. Another called us something we can't repeat. Others simply hung up on us.
At the end of the day, if we don't have enforcement capability and enforcement teeth, no one's going to abide by it.
Assemblyman Adrien Nazarian is now drafting state legislation to crack down on companies that operate unsafely and lie to tourists. In our first report, we recorded 25 tour buses stopping in front of this non-celebrity home every hour.
Britney Spears stayed right here.
On your left, Quentin Tarantino, guys.
We went back and found many of the same companies still misidentifying the house, and the real homeowners are sick of it. Another home falsely identified as Julia Roberts has been spray painted, the homeowner assaulted, even punched by a stalker.
It's quite a scary situation.
I think that's a mistake on the part of the tour buses, and I think that needs to be addressed.
Other major cities, including New Orleans, require tour leaders to not only submit to criminal background checks, but also pass a history test.
We certainly know what people have not been prepared at all to be representing the tourist industry. That's a black eye for us. That's the last thing we want.
As president of the National Federation of Tourist Guides Associations, Gene Reyes says it's important that cities have training programs available, an idea he feels even more strongly about since taking a celebrity home tour himself.
I was not impressed with the tour guide. I was not impressed with the entire tour. It was not the level of tour, I assure you, that we strive for here in New Orleans and other major cities.
The tour operators just have to stop doing what they're doing before something happens. This situation, I don't feel, is going away.
And late this afternoon, we heard from Mayor Garcetti's office. A spokesman says they're concerned about the safety issues revealed in our investigation. He told us they'll be meeting this month with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce and the LA Tourism and Convention Board to discuss possible actions. We'll, of course, keep you updated.
I'm wondering if some of those tourists might think about a class action suit against those people.
Yeah, a lot of them that we talked to down on Hollywood Boulevard had no idea that they were being told a bunch of lies.
Totally duped. Totally duped. Thank you, Jenna. Good job once again.